When an animal loves us, that love is genuine, loyal, and eternal. But what happens when they leave us? Is it really the end? Or is there something greater waiting for them? The Bible addresses this topic. What you will discover today may completely transform your view of the animals you've loved and what comes after earthly life. An extraordinary experience is about to reveal truths that few imagine. Before proceeding, I ask something simple. Simple. Write in the comments where you are following this message from. Knowing that we are connected regardless of the distance unites us as a great family in search of answers. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and get ready. What you are about to hear may forever change the way you see your moments with the animals that have marked your life. My name is Camila. I am 55 years old, and I live in Curitiba. My life turned upside down 2 years ago when my husband Roberto suddenly passed away. An aggressive cancer appeared out of nowhere and took him away in just a few months. There was no time for goodbyes, plans, or hopes. He simply left, leaving a silence so great it seemed to echo inside me. I felt lost. My mornings were empty, my afternoons even more so. I spent hours in front of the TV, watching anything just to avoid thinking. I only left the house to buy food. Nothing made sense. I had already lost my father to cancer years before, and that pain took a long time to pass. But losing Roberto was different. I knew I would never fully recover. He was the man of my life, my perfect companion. He turned our house into a home, brought life to the little details, and always knew how to make me smile. Everything turned gray after he was gone. Until one day, something unexpected happened. It was a cold afternoon, the kind that makes you tighten your coat. I was returning from the market when I saw a cardboard box near a trash can. I wouldn't have paid much attention, but I heard a low whimper coming from it. I got closer, and inside the box, I found a puppy. He was skinny, shivering with cold, with sad and tired eyes. I looked around, but there was no one. Someone had abandoned that little creature there, leaving him to fend for himself. I was never the type who liked animals much. I never wanted to have one at home, but at that moment I simply couldn't walk away. I picked up the puppy, wrapped him in my coat, and took him home. The initial idea was to care for him until he was healthy, and then take him to a shelter. At least that's what I thought. At first he was a real hurricane, running around the house, breaking things, and ignoring everything I tried to teach him. Every attempt to train him ended in total failure. I was already full of problems in life, and now I had this chaos to deal with. The house that was once silent and empty was now full of barks and noise. I got easily irritated, thinking he was just another burden in an already difficult life. But amidst this mess, I began to notice something strange. That dog wasn't just a problem. It seemed he was trying to tell me something. There was something in the way he looked at me, in the way he insisted on staying close to me, as if he knew I needed help. Over time, he gained strength and energy, and without me realizing it, he also began to change something inside me. The pain that suffocated me seemed to be giving way to something new. It was as if that little being was opening a crack in my heart, slowly but persistently. It was then that I decided to give him a name. It couldn't be just any name, because by that point, I already felt he had a greater purpose in my life. I called him Apollo. Perhaps without realizing it, I too was crossing my own darkness, and he was my light. Things started to improve. I rediscovered small joys, learned to enjoy simple moments, and even smile again. But just when I thought life was getting back on track, everything changed in the blink of an eye. It was a beautiful afternoon with the sun shining and a gentle breeze in the air. We were walking calmly down the sidewalk when we reached a crosswalk. I stopped to cross with Apollo just ahead, when I heard the roar of engines. 2 cars appeared at high speed, racing recklessly, not caring that there were people on the street. I saw the headlights coming our way, getting closer and closer. I shouted Apollo's name, trying to pull him by the leash, but it was too late. I heard a violent impact. Apollo was hit hard. The leash slipped from my hands, and I was dragged along with him. My body flew through the air, and for a moment, it seemed like time stopped. After that, only darkness, deep, absolute. I found myself floating in a silent void. There was no pain or fear, just a sense of peace. Slowly, a soft light began to shine, as if coming from within me, warm and welcoming, and then I heard it. Before me stood a majestic and radiant figure, enveloped in an aura of peace and pure love. It was Jesus. His eyes overflowed with compassion, and his presence emanated a warmth I had never felt before. "Camilla," he said softly with a comforting voice, as if wrapping my soul in a hug, "do not fear. You are here for a purpose greater than you can imagine." Immediately all my fear disappeared. A wave of overwhelming peace washed over me, as if the weight of my life, my pain, and my loneliness had been lifted once and for all. Jesus looked at me with deep understanding. There is something you need to know. Something about you and Apollo." His words struck me deeply. I felt his gaze penetrating parts of my soul I didn't even know existed. "Is there something I need to know? A purpose?" Jesus nodded. "Apollo was sent to you for this reason. That day, when you found him in that box, was no coincidence." Jesus smiled. "The bond you formed with Apollo is stronger than you imagine. It is not just the affection between a woman and her dog. It is a bond forged between two kindred souls who recognize and understand each other." Sisu. Tears streamed down my face. "Lord, I never saw animals this way. I thought they were just creatures people get attached to, nothing more." Jesus shook his head gently. "Animals are much more than that, Camilla. They are a gift from God, instruments of love and healing. When a human being is lost, when their pain becomes unbearable, God often uses an animal." I closed my eyes, absorbing every word. Apollo had been sent to me. He was chosen for me. It was not an accident. He was not just an abandoned dog I rescued. He was the one who saved me. But, Lord, why do animals seem to understand human suffering better than we do? Jesus looked at me with deep intensity. "I don't know. Animals do not have a soul like humans. They are not held accountable in the same way, for they do not sin. They do not choose between good and evil, but they have a spirit, a spark of life that comes from God, and nothing that comes from God is ever lost. So, will I see him again? Will Apollo have a place in your kingdom?" Jesus nodded. "Is it not written? For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay, and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God." Romans 8:19-21. I thought for a moment, this means that animals will also be redeemed. When all is fulfilled and sin is destroyed, creation will be restored. Nothing that was created with love will be lost. In my kingdom, every living being will have its place, and animals will no longer be subject to suffering. Jesus then showed me another vision. I saw a wonderful new earth. The air was crystal clear. The rivers flowed pure. And across endless fields, animals of all species ran free without fear. I saw wolves and lambs resting together, lions lying beside children, and horses galloping through golden expanses. And then among them, Apollo. He was there, strong and healthy, his energy radiant, his eyes shining with joy, and his spirit free from all pain. He was looking for me, waiting for me. Apollo will be there, Camilla, just like all those who loved and served with a pure heart. Tears streamed down my face. "Lord, Does this mean that all the animals we loved will return to us? Jesus nodded gently. Not all animals form a deep bond with humans. Some are just creatures of the earth. But those who were part of your journey, who loved you, and were loved by you, will have a place by your side, for love is never wasted. I broke down, overwhelmed by the revelation. So our bond will never be broken? Never. The love that comes from God is eternal. The light around me began to fade. I felt a force pulling me back to my body, the real world becoming clear again. Before leaving, Jesus said one last thing. When you return, share what you have seen. The world has forgotten the value of God's creatures. Remind humanity that all life is precious, and that every bond of love is a sacred gift. The last thing I saw was Apollo, still injured, but alive. Then, I woke up. The days following the accident were a whirlwind of pain, fear, and hope. I spent weeks in the hospital while my body tried to heal, but my mind was elsewhere, in a cold, dark room where a single question echoed endlessly. Will Apollo survive? The veterinarians were skeptical. The impact had been devastating. His condition was critical. Apollo remained motionless, teetering between life and death. Every night I prayed with all my heart. God, you sent him to save me. Please don't take him away. Days turned into weeks. Then one morning as I sat beside him, exhausted and with my voice choked with tears, I felt something, a slight movement, a deeper breath. Slowly, Apollo opened his eyes searching for me, still weak but present. And at that moment when our eyes met, I felt something powerful surge through my heart. He was still there. The doctor said his recovery would be long and difficult. But for me, it was already a miracle. You did it, Apollo, we did it. At that moment, I understood his battle was my battle. Our pain was shared, and our healing would be too. Months passed and Apollo returned to life. He was no longer the same. The marks of that terrible night were etched on his body, but his spirit remained intact. But time passes for everyone. A few months ago, I faced the hardest test of all, the one I knew would come. Still, I hoped for something more. Apollo had aged. His step was slower, his eyes more tired. Still, he never left me. He followed me everywhere, always present, always vigilant, as he had done all his life. Then, one morning, as I took him to the yard for his daily walk, it happened. Apollo stopped. He looked at me. With incredible effort, he wagged his tail and took a few steps on his own. I knelt before him, tears streaming down my face. Hey, my friend. I'm here. He looked at me, and in his eyes I saw everything. Love, gratitude, the sadness of having to say goodbye, but also peace. He knew his time had come. I love you, Apollo. Thank you for everything. With one last effort, he barely moved his tail, as if to say he loved me too, that he was ready. Then he closed his eyes, his body relaxed in my arms, and I realized he was gone. I don't know how long I stayed there, kneeling with my face buried in his fur, tears falling uncontrollably. The pain hit me like a giant wave, taking my breath and strength away. It was really the end. God had sent him to me at a time when I had lost everything. He was my support, my companion, my light. He saved me when I didn't want to live anymore, and now he was gone. I hugged him one last time. Thank you, Apollo. Thank you for loving me more than I deserved. The pain was unbearable, but I remembered Jesus' words. In my kingdom, nothing you loved will be lost. I closed my eyes, letting those words envelop me. And at that moment, in the midst of despair, I felt a deep and lasting peace. Apollo had not truly left. He would never leave. Today, every morning when I wake up, the place beside my bed remains empty. But his spirit is everywhere. In the memories I carry, in the moments when I still feel his presence beside me, in the certainty that one day when God calls me, I will see him again and we will run together without fear, without pain, forever. After everything I've been through, after seeing the truth with my own eyes, I know I can no longer remain silent. This message was not just for me, but for anyone who has ever suffered, for those who have loved and lost, for all those who have looked into an animal's eyes and found comfort, hope, and pure love. Jesus showed me that animals are not mere companions on our journey. They are not accidents or accessories in our lives. They are divine gifts, instruments through which God speaks to us, sustains us, and guides us in our darkest moments. Apollo was not just a dog. He was a sign from God to me. And the truth is that God sends these signs to many. But how many of us recognize them? How many understand that those faithful eyes that look at us every day do not belong only to earthly creatures, but are living testimonies of divine love? How many times do we ignore the value of a simple gesture of affection, of a silent and constant presence without realizing that right there, beside us, is the sign we were seeking? When I found Apollo, I thought I had saved him. In truth, he saved me. God knew I needed him as much as he needed me. He had been hurt, abandoned, rejected by the world, just as I felt after losing Roberto. Our pains intertwined, and without realizing it, we became each other's support. It was not a coincidence, it was not by chance, it was God's plan. Animals are not objects or possessions that we can discard at will. They are precious creatures entrusted to us to be loved, respected, and protected. The Bible makes it clear, God cares for them and is concerned with every creature, even the smallest of them, because all life has value. If the Lord himself cares for them, how can we allow them to be mistreated, ignored, or abandoned? Every time an animal suffers due to human cruelty, it is as if part of creation is desecrated. But every time we welcome them, care for them, and offer love, we are responding to a divine call. If there is an animal in your life that loves you, that waits for you when you come home, that follows you wherever you go, do not see it as just a companion. It is a sign. It is God's way of telling you, you are not alone. And if you do not have an animal by your side, if you feel an emptiness within you, do not despair. Perhaps your sign is still on its way. Perhaps there is a creature that needs you as much as you need it. The experience taught me that when a human being faces the deepest pain, but keeps their faith strong, a sign of help, a seal of hope, is sent from heaven, a pure soul chosen by God to sustain them in the darkness and accompany them on the path of faith. I didn't know Apollo was my sign until I looked back and clearly saw the path God had laid out for us. Perhaps there is an Apollo in your life too. Perhaps there is one beside you now. Or perhaps it is yet to come. But do not ignore the signs. Do not underestimate the value of silent love, of constant companionship, of a presence that comforts without words. Jesus showed me that in his kingdom, nothing that was loved will be lost. The time we spend with them is never in vain. The bond we share does not dissolve with death. My Apollo is gone, but I know I will see him again. I know that one day, when God calls me, I will find him there, waiting for me. And this time, we will run together, without fear, without pain, without time. There is one thing I want to leave as a legacy in this life. It is this message. Animals are a gift from God. They were entrusted to us to help us, to love us, and to teach us the purest meaning of loyalty and compassion. Let us not ignore this gift. Let us not waste the opportunity to be for them what they are for us, a reflection of God's love here on earth. My beloved child, if you have come this far, it is because you have a big heart. Comment pure love, or the city where you are watching us from. If you love animals and believe in my word, share this video. Everyone needs to know that everything done with love lasts forever. Hey, subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Now, watch the next testimony on the screen. Each testimony is a living word for your life.